ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 404 show. It is Friday, March 4th. Oh, man. You know, I every now and then, and we've had a great string of guests lately.
We have.
I think we're in the midst of an all-star. This is like sweeps weeks for us.
It is.
It really is.
This is how we're judged for the rest of the year.
We had Jordan Hoffman 2 weeks ago.
Oh, my God.
You know that guy?
Yeah, sure.
We had Steve Guttenberg, 404 All-Star.
Yep.
And now, is this your second appearance?
I think it's my third.
I've been in two of them because I was here the last time.
Yeah,
I think the last time he was here.
I did one with Russ.
Yeah.
And I did one time where it was just the two of us. So,
Oh, right. That was an intimate ordeal.
Oh, it was a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome, back for the third time, Mr. Scott Jones.
Yeah.
Scott Jones.
It's a little awkward. I'm clapping for myself.
Why not? We don't do it enough.
Right? We don't.
As a people, we don't do it enough.
Brush your shoulders off.
I love me.
As you should.
Why not?
Totally.
You know, why
Lean
not?
into it.
It's so weird to be back in New York. I'm staying at a hotel that's just about a block and a half away from here.
Scott's staying at the Ace Hotel, which is a very
very
hipstery
nice, very hip hotel.
Very
yes.
hipstery.
Good coffee in the basement there.
There's a Stumptown coffee
Stumptown?
shop. Yeah, I stopped there on the way. Oh, you can see I have it right here. But you know, coming back to New York, and I first moved here in the mid-'90s.
Right.
I feel really old now. And for years and years, I felt great. Every time I would come here, wherever I would go, I just feel like I'm not aging at all. And now coming back to New York this time, I feel like everything's... Maybe because I've been in Canada for so long.
I think Canada does that to a person.
So what does that mean? That people in Canada look older?
No, I just feel like this is a city that very young people, of course, gather in.
Yes.
And in the hotel that I'm staying, which is like...
Oh, yeah. It's super hipster hotel.
It's hipster central, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of douchey.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of like it too at the same
It's a
time.
nice hotel. It's
but
just...
I don't really fit in anymore.
Sure.
And even my, I have to, when I first moved to New York, I was so nervous about the people in New York accepting me and finding me appealing. Like everybody feels that way.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from upstate near Syracuse.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I grew
you're
up there.
You're one of the good guys.
Am I?
An East Coast good guy.
I'm an East Coast good guy, but I dreamed of New York for so long as an outsider, and I'd never visited New York until I was in college. So not as a kid. My parents weren't interested, but I would watch TV shows like The Odd Couple, and it would always open with Oscar and Felix. You guys are, you especially, are you guys the same age?
He's a little bit older.
Yeah,
than
a little.
me.
I'm a couple years older. Yeah.
That TV show would open with a montage of New York City.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
And I'm just like, why don't we live there?
Yeah.
Here are all these people. They live in little rooms on top of each other.
They hate their roommate, but they also love their roommate.
Yeah, one's a sports writer, one runs the vacuum, and they ride trains that go underneath the city. Like, what a magical place.
It's amazing. That was my fascination with New York growing up. I was lucky enough to be here, my whole life, kind of coming in and out all the time. Yeah, it's a great part of that.
But then I moved here, and I was thinking about this story last night because I went out for a walk when I got here. It was just totally jet lagged.
Sure.
And it was freezing. Like, it never snows where I live, in the part of Canada that I live in. And so last night, it was a weather shock for me. I went out to look for water, and finally I found a little deli. I'm in that Ace Hotel is in kind of a black hole. Yeah, there's nothing around there.
Garment district.
Weird.
So I found a little random deli, and I got 2 bottles of water. It was $4 a bottle. I'm like, I said to the guy, this guy leaning over the counter, he's looking at his phone, he's not even paying attention. I'm sure he's charging me the out-of-towner price.
Are they big bottles?
I mean, they're like the 2-liter bottles.
Smart water.
No, it's Poland Springs. Do I have to say the brand?
I'm curious.
I feel like Smart Water would cost $7 a bottle.
Oh, really?
Exactly. Yeah, it's very expensive.
Wait,
Poland Spring, that's
so you
expensive.
think you got like swindled?
Oh, yeah. I look like an outsider now. I was feeling really insecure. And I said to the guy, I'm like, $4 a bottle for this. Every other part of the world, even every other part of New York, it's $3 at most.
Yeah.
$2 in probably most parts of New York. He's like, these are the New York. That's what New York water costs.
Oh,
that's what he told me.
Wow.
And I went back to the hotel, and
ironically, not New York water, Polish water.
Who knows where it's actually
who
from?
knows what tap it came out of?
But I just felt like for sure that I got fleeced. I've been here for like 20 minutes, and I got fleeced.
And you have this legacy where, like, I don't deserve that.
So I was going to say,
I've been here. I've been here before.
That's what I told him. I said to the guy, I used to live here. I lived here for 15 years.
He was like, my bad, 99 cents. 99 cents.
I know, charge me the New York price for this, not the outsider price.
I was going to say, you look very good. You look young, hale, hearty. I wouldn't say, like, you're getting up in years, certainly, but now you're complaining about water prices, and that might be the first step into going down that road.
He's not wrong.
All right.
Did you send it back?
No, it's always.
Did you write a letter?
When you come to New York, you wonder, can I still cut it here?
Yeah.
Have I still got it? Will they buy the illusion of me? Do I pass as a New Yorker? But I just felt like some old guy from out of town who's wearing all the wrong clothes.
No, well, I think you're also in that neighborhood. Like, there's no one living in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's just essentially tourists and people that work there during the day. So in that neighborhood, I mean, if you were at a bodega in whatever, like Queens, Jackson Heights,
sure.
I don't think you'd get that same sort of treatment.
All right.
You gotta really take the all the context into account.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to do this. I know you have an agenda and we don't have a lot of time today, but I just want to tell you, my first night going out in New York, I felt so insecure about going out. I had to go meet some people. I knew one person, but I was getting introduced to all these other people. Mid-90s.
Okay.
And so I had this shirt. It was a flannel shirt.
Uh-oh.
I'm sure I look like some hillbilly from
That was
upstate.
cool then, though.
It wasn't cool yet.
No.
It wasn't
in the
not,
90s,
not.
even with the grunge thing?
I think that was like late 90s.
Okay.
So what I did is I was in my tiny apartment that I couldn't afford, and I cut the sleeves off of it, like right down here, and I rolled them up just to try to make it look cooler.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I went out and I saw my friend at this bar, and she said, "What did you do to your shirt?" And I'm like, "I will never pass here. I will never fit in. This city is so tough."
But that was
It's
an edgy move, and that's what this city is about: is making edgy decisions.
Even if you walk away looking a little
right?
absurd.
Bill Cunningham would take a picture of you, and you'd be famous.
Yeah,
So there you go.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Yeah.
I want to back up a bit and explain to people who maybe don't know who you are.
Yes.
And explain that you have been in this industry, in the game space, and
about 15 years.
For about 15 years, you're a veteran.
Veteran. I do feel like I'm one of the elders of the village.
Sure.
And it's a village that's changing. You
Definitely.
guys know this better than anybody. You go to any press event. I'm a video game guy. Like, I loved games my whole life. The first city, long before I moved to New York, I didn't feel like I was ready for New York, so my starter city was Chicago. I moved to Chicago, and I was obsessed with video games because I didn't want to face all the things that I wasn't ready to face in my life. I didn't want to deal with all the complications, so I got a job. But at night, I would drink 12 packs. Okay, that's a bad first step.
Sure.
And I would play video games.
You finished the 12-pack?
Yeah, some nights I would.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would play video games, and this was like the early 90s. So I was playing a Super Metroid. My Super Nintendo was just like I couldn't believe what a magical machine that was.
Tremendous.
Definitely.
Contra, Alien Wars.
Yep.
I was Super Smash TV. Everything had Super in front of it.
It
Remember
did.
the Super
Yes,
generation. But Electronic Gaming Monthly was in Chicago back then. Like that's another time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
When magazines used to have offices. It's very rare now.
Like press rooms and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's very rare. But I would get this magazine, I'm like, holy crap, it's right here in Chicago. It's probably right down the street from where I live. And I just remember like who I was then. I remember my hopefulness for the future, and I remember being excited about something like working at EGM, which really has been operating on fumes for years at this point.
But at the time, it was a juggernaut.
At the time, it was the only one. Yeah,
that was
so
the standard.
Oh, I love that magazine.
What was it? Computer Gaming World was also floating around there. PC Gamer was still floating around there. But I mean, they were like, I would say 4 or 5 that were like big. But EGM was like
they were the
show
guys
in town. Yeah.
So you did so explain that path out of Chicago.
When I was in Chicago, I was trying to be a writer, and I just thought at some point I'm going to have to give up video games. I'm going to have to get serious. I was
put on a suit.
Well, no, I wanted to be a poet. I thought that was the way to do things.
That is serious.
That was serious, right?
So it's mid-90s, you're in Chicago, and you're like, I got it. I'm going to be a poet.
You know what? I'm going to quote some T.S. Eliot for you right now.
Yeah,
Let us
please.
go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table.
Wow.
Uplifting.
Poetry is barely permeates
Love
with me.
song of J. Alfred Prufrock.
Yeah, again, like I can make up stuff too,
I didn't.
I know, I'm joking.
No, but I thought, well, I can do this. I can become a successful poet.
You were passionate. It that affected you. It moved you.
Yes. And so what I was doing in Chicago was I was getting some city experience. I was applying for graduate school. thinking about working
for poetry.
For poetry.
Okay.
And so I applied to graduate school. I got into Columbia.
Very respectable.
I got into Iowa.
That's amazing. Iowa's like that big writing.
The big writing one, the writers
Scene
workshop.
Girls.
Oh, right. Scene and Girls, that's right. And then I also got into Syracuse. And Syracuse was back where I grew up, and I got a full scholarship.
Holy shit.
So, I mean, you kind of almost always do. If you're going to go back to school for some sort of arty thing, you shouldn't accrue more debt.
Right.
If you're going to go down
I
that path.
totally agree with the...
So I didn't get any money from Iowa. I didn't get any money from Columbia. I would have had to really struggle. I could have gone to either one, but I went with the freebie. And went back to Syracuse.
You settled for Syracuse. Oh my God, that's a great settle.
It's pretty far down on the list. I feel regretful that I didn't go to Columbia.
But what was your end game here? Like, okay, so you go to school for poetry. What is a not depressing outcome?
No, I'll tell you what it is. You know, I was fascinated with like New England colleges. Like I like those little sort of snow globe kind of campuses.
There's something
I wanted an
reminiscent
office
of another time.
Can I talk now?
Sorry.
They're charming on a level that is not seen anywhere else.
I wanted an office that had a little fireplace in it, right? And I wanted to write my stories, and I wanted to be in my office. I want to meet with my students, maybe have an affair with a student. I don't know. Like
So you wanted to be a professor?
I wanted to be a professor.
Got it.
And so what?
No, you just snuck that in there, the old affair with a student.
I'm just I'm being honest about what's in my heart or what was in my heart.
Sure.
You were younger. These were the things that crossed through a late. How old were you then?
I was in my mid-20s.
So mid-20s.
I was about your age.
No, I'm 30. I'll be 34 in a couple of weeks.
Oh, you're so sexy for 34.
Well, thanks, man. That's nice.
So yeah, that was my non-depressing end game.
Okay, that's nice.
So I got my degree, my MFA in poetry. Very useful degree. Moved to New York City, and I don't know why. I'm going into my whole life story.
I like this because this, people are like, "Well, who's this Jones guy?" And we've had you on before, and when you were on before, you were very ingrained in the video game industry, writing and critiquing and being.
I am now less so.
A little less so.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time in Canada on Canadian television.
Very famous in Canada.
Yes.
Very famous in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't hesitate.
I don't know. The show that I used to host ended on December 31st. That was the end of it. Electric Playground. That's it.
With Victor Lucas.
With Victor Lucas, yes, legendary Victor Lucas, and I'm so grateful that I got a chance to work with him for so many years. And,
how many years were you there? It was 6 years?
I've been there for a little over 7 years now.
That's
I'm actually
amazing.
ready for my Canadian citizenship.
Oh,
I've earned it.
Very exciting.
So
you know what?
What?
I would get that.
I would get it in a heartbeat.
Why? Because
where
of the
things
Trump
are going.
stuff? Is that right?
Listen, I've been doing a little bit of reading. You can't just get up and move to Canada. I found out.
It's not.
Even
it doesn't work like that.
Even if things don't go awful with the whole Trump situation, just like if for whatever reason you ever needed, to take a trip and get some medical procedures done for real cheap. That seems like a good solve.
I know we're not the only ones who have told you this.
No, and I like it. Like I like
it's
it.
It's a great
Taxes
country.
are higher. It's a great country. Our dollar is destroyed right now. So
Sure.
every single one of your dollars is worth like $1.50.
It's amazing how quickly that happened.
Yeah, because
I know,
Canada was
1-1
winning
when I
for
moved
quite a
there.
while.
I was in
during the recession. I feel like they were above for a little bit.
I was in Montreal in July of 15, and it was 1-1.
That's crazy.
And now it is half that, right?
Crazy.
Yeah, it's probably like it's about 60 cents.
That's
so that bottle of
crazy.
water was like $20 for you. I would complain about that.
Everyone
That's
always
reasonable.
asks that now because I have been doing some different kinds of work, and where's your paycheck coming from? Is it from the U.S. or is it Canadian? And whenever I say, well, that one's from the U.S., they'll be like,
that's the sweet
they're
one.
jealous.
Steak dinner tonight, huh? We're going to the keg.
U.S. money. You guys have been earning the U.S. money for a long time. I feel like
but if you live in the U.S., it doesn't really benefit you. You understand? Like it's all structured.
Yeah. Everything's priced according to your
Exactly.
dollar.
Yeah. Which is great. Which is fine. I mean, so now that's a chapter in your life that's closing.
Yeah, well,
has closed.
The journalism side.
Well,
of my
the EP
life?
stuff.
Yeah, the EP stuff is done, and I don't know if I want to do TV anymore.
Sure.
Like I felt like it was something I needed to learn how to do when I was trying to be a writer.
Right.
But really, all I'm really interested in is writing. I don't want to do TV. I like having a conversation with you guys.
Yeah.
But I don't need, like, I'm not dying to. And also,
Sure.
I don't even know what it means anymore. Like, why would you want to be on TV? Like, TV is going away at a rapid rate.
Really interesting. I've like spoken to like people on crews that work at like whatever, like big national networks here in the city, and it'll be like an assistant director or someone like that. And all they talk to me about, because I'm just there to guest or whatever it is like, hey, so you know any like new media companies?
Yeah.
Because they see the writing on the wall that like this is not a 10-year or 20-year plan here.
See, right. They definitely see a little bit of the future and what's coming, and you're crazy to ignore something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think the big networks are going anywhere necessarily, but I do think they're sort of like spider webbing out and sort of reaching you on a different plane. And I know that's not groundbreaking or anything, but I think there is still room for production value and like TV sets. Right. It's just not a television. Like all that stuff, wherever it's consumed, I still think that is still very relevant. So when we say like TV's going away, we mean gathering around the couch is going away. Like your living room is going away, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think about the ways in which we spend most of our time these days. And I did have cable during the NFL season. This was the first NFL season where I've committed to every game this year.
Okay.
I watched as many games as I could. I enjoyed it so much. But as soon as it was over, as soon as the Super Bowl was done, I had the plug pulled. I'm like, because I was watching like People's Court in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I started craving it every day. I'm like, oh, it's 2:30. I think People's Court's on. Maybe something interesting's going on. I like that Judge Million. See what's happening. Her eyes are really beautiful. But then I'm just like, I can't go through my life like this.
Yeah, but you have. I mean, so during lunch, I work at home, and during lunch I watch like New Girl on Netflix. Like you have things to get addicted to outside of just TV.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like at least Netflix, you're making a choice. The TV's not making the choice.
I understand.
So if
you can't just leave it on in the background.
Yeah, right.
See, and I've always argued that there should be this sort of always on thing that Netflix does.
Yeah.
Right, where you kind of. This is going to sound maybe crazy to some people.
Like Spotify.
Just follow it,
but it's like I want Netflix to know the shit I like. Which it does to some degree. And then I want to be able to just like turn it on, and I want something to already be playing, even if it's midway through, like a film I've seen already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't start me new on something I haven't seen yet.
Right.
But start me in the middle of like, oh, Die Hard 3 is just on right now. Because that's something that it should know that Jeff just loves to watch. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, there should be this sort of like, because the channel surfing psychological gratification I get, that we all get. Maybe it's gone on a new generation, but there's still the legacy of that for us. So like, I crave that.
You turn that on, and like Famke Janssen is crushing someone with her legs in GoldenEye the second you turn it on.
And you're like, sick, I'll watch the rest of this.
Yeah, I do feel like the thing that is getting lost, and it's not a huge thing, but it is getting lost for sure, and I think you've articulated it very well, both of you. It is that coming into Die Hard 3 halfway through, watching the second half of it, and just thinking like, oh, I really have to kind of revise my definition of what's a good movie. Die Hard 3 wasn't bad at all.
I like Die Hard 3.
Bad at all. It is the second best Die Hard.
And Die Hard 1 was so good.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So before we take the break that's coming up, I want to, pivot into a thing that happened.
You're getting awkward now
with your life.
Okay, I can talk about that.
It's a little. I mean, it's an awkward topic, so it's a little difficult for other. I think it might be cool, and I'm interested in it. But we should dive in because you'll see it's a little bit difficult. To talk about.
We will dive into that right after this break.
Okay. Oh, really?
All right.
It's a dick move right there. Right? It's a dick ass move. Today's episode of the 404 Show is brought to you by Audible.com. Do you love books but find that you never have the time to read them? Well, that's every day of my life. I always want to read books and I can't. Audible.com has the perfect solution for me and you. You can get audiobooks and listen to those books like you've been meaning to do, like all your resolutions, all the things you want to accomplish in 2016. I want to read more books, and I'm going to do it with Audible.com. They provide over 180,000 titles from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine and newspaper publishers, and business information providers. Their app is free, and it works on iPhones, iPad, Android, and the guy who's got the Windows phone. That guy's going to be fine. You can download and listen on your Kindle Fire, pretty much any MP3 player you might own. And unlike a streaming or rental service, Audible lets you own your books. You can access your books anytime and anywhere right from that device. Audible.com also has the Great Listen Guarantee, so check it out. If you download a book and you don't like it, no worries. Exchange it for anything else you want, anytime, no questions asked. And just for our listeners, Audible.com is offering a free 30-day trial membership. All you got to do is go to audible.com/CNET today and start your free trial. Again, this is the way you can support the 404 show, right? You want to help us out. You want to continue making this show great. Be personally a part of that and go to audible.com/CNET and start your free trial today. 30 days, get to it, support the show, and check out books you've been dying to read but never have had the chance to. And a big thanks to audible.com for sponsoring the show. Back on the show with Mr. Scott Jones, who's just about ready to flash me his Canadian citizenship card.
Ooh,
you get a card?
I do get a card. You want to see
Is it just, or they just give you like a hockey puck?
I thought you weren't a citizen.
This is what I put first, though.
Okay, of course.
This is they call it a permanent resident card.
Oh, wow.
When did you get this?
Look at you.
This is also the health card they give you.
The care card. Very nice. Everyone has that same card.
Wow, I'm getting a little crash course in Canadian, in hot Canadian living.
Here's our Metro card.
Oh, lovely.
Wow. So this care card, it's like a credit card.
Yeah, you bring it to the
like I need a medicine. Swipe free.
It's not it's not that easy, but it's not that far from that.
That's great. What a great land.
It is great.
It is lovely.
And hockey's the best. So you had something happen to you a few years ago.
I got really sick, and I missed almost an entire year of the TV show because of this. I was dating a really sexy woman for a while. Mm-hmm. She was like 5'10". She used to model.
I did not know this is how the story starts.
You're a tall guy as well. What are you, 6'4", 6'5"?
6'3", but with a very small penis.
Okay.
Okay, but do you think that's part of... No. Is that what happened?
No, I was dating this woman, and I have not lived with a lot of women. I know you've been married for a while, and you're married now.
No, almost married, July.
Okay. So you guys are used to sleeping with women, but I'm not. And so I would wake up every night just... completely drenched in sweat.
Really?
I would soak through my sheets.
Only when she was staying over?
Every night. Even if she was there or not there.
Okay.
But when she was there, at least I had a witness.
Sure.
But I didn't know what was wrong with me. So I went to the doctor, and he said, maybe you ate something spicy. And I said, okay. And then I went back home, and I kept sweating.
So the sweat was the only thing?
That was it. It went on for about a year. And so I went to a walk-in clinic. They sent me home. I went to the ER a couple times. They sent me home. Just like, I really don't feel right. Something's wrong.
What sent you to the ER, if you don't mind me kind of getting a little granular here?
I don't really remember. And you'll know why. I don't remember in a few seconds. But I kept trying to get diagnosed. No, it's very difficult to diagnose. I had something we ultimately discovered called endocarditis, which is an infection in your heart. So in one of my heart valves, there was an infection that was growing and growing and growing. And so my sweating was my body's way of trying to
fight it or
exactly. And so I had it for so long, even though no one was able to diagnose it, that the infection grew so large that pieces of it broke off and went to my brain.
Oh my God.
And so I had a stroke.
Wait, so the stroke was an event that happened after the infection?
The infection yielded the stroke.
That's right.
So the stroke was a specific moment.
I thought we were friends. How do you guys not know this?
I knew about the stroke. I did know all about the stuff, but I'm talking about the how it was the actual stroke. A thing that happened at a moment.
It wasn't like this kind of I fell down and they had to come collect me, but it was little pieces.
Gotcha.
So were you in the hospital already when you had the stroke?
No, I had probably been having it for a few weeks, if not longer.
Because I was under the impression that a stroke is like
an event.
He's having a stroke.
That's one way a stroke can go for sure.
Okay.
But this is the way mine went.
Sure.
And so I didn't know this. I got checked into the hospital finally. Usually the people who get endocarditis are IV drug users. I obviously have never done heroin or any IV drugs. And so they had a very tough time diagnosing it. One doctor guessed, and he was right. And I still haven't. I have to find that guy and thank him.
He guessed and did the right test to confirm it, essentially?
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
And so I was in the hospital, and what they did is they decided to do open heart surgery. They took out the valve that had the infection in it. Then they installed a plastic valve in my chest. So I had open heart surgery. I was maybe 45 at the time. And then after that, there's no way to say this without sounding melodramatic, but there was a doctor who came to me and said, listen, we're going to do the heart valve operation. He came back the next day and said, we've talked about it. We're not going to do that operation. Then he came back the day after that and said, we are going to do the operation.
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
And I was like, do whatever you guys want to do.
Are they saying why they're like vacillating?
Nope, I didn't hear, but I do have a friend who's a doctor who was at some of those meetings, and she said they didn't want to do it because they were kind of sure that you weren't going to make it.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
So I'm here.
But you are, and you're back. Like, I don't see a difference.
I feel like I'm probably at 75 or 80%. But maybe I was here a year ago, last April.
Yeah.
And I came here for a Guitar Hero event.
Yes.
And it was my first time back in New York. And I think about the person I was, the Scott that I was back then. And I'm stronger now, for
Definitely.
sure. I'm more myself. My energy level is back. I got really tired for a long time. I was in the hospital for maybe 10 weeks. No, probably 6 weeks. And then I was in rehab, like they have a legit rehab facility. And I was there for another 10 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
And like the recovery from something like this, and for sure, this isn't as dramatic a stroke as you've probably seen.
Right.
If you've seen older people who've had strokes, they're super screwed up. But for me, I have a numbness on the left side of my body, and
still, and
it just will probably always be there.
Is it a like a prickly kind of thing,
no,
or
just a numbness?
You cannot feel anything.
I don't feel anything. Yeah.
Wow.
And they're not sure if it'll ever come back. I did a lot of rehab trying to get my brain working properly again. I had trouble remembering anything in the beginning, like passwords on your computer. I know we all are overwhelmed by them, but when you have a stroke and then try to go back to your computer, I couldn't remember anything.
Yeah.
So I had to redo all my passwords. Everyone kept recommending these password apps like 1Password and all the different ones that are out there. But I kept the faith. I kept doing my best. I kept trying to be optimistic.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to enjoy my days now. Like,
of course.
Maybe, like I feel like I see the world through a different lens than the world that I saw before. And even being back in New York right now, and for sure there are things I could bitch about, the $4 bottles of water and so forth. But I'm just happy to be here, and I'm proud of my life, and I'm proud of the life that I made, and I'm proud that I got to be on TV for all these years. Proud that I wrote all these stories that mostly I'm proud of those stories. But I feel like I've had a great career.
Yeah.
I've had great friends. I'm glad that you guys are my friends, and I don't know. I just kind of wake up with that every day now.
And that is such an amazing thing to have after that. I just think it's. I don't want to say like, well, it's the silver lining in all of this, but it's like, to be able to like be aware of that is something that I think a lot of people need.
It's very difficult you're sort of basically internalizing your mortality and saying, okay, well, this is literally like you forget if you're in the day to day, you're doing the same stuff every day, whatever, you forget you have so much freedom and so much like you can do really whatever you want. So,
like both of you have had great jobs.
Oh yeah, no,
great jobs. You've gotten to do a lot of fun things,
sure.
like the fact that you get to go to E3 and you get to go to CES, and like that's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, I think there comes a time where you kind of realize how grateful you need to be. For stuff like that.
And I know some days you get up and you just put the plow down and you got a bunch of stuff to do, but you got to take time every day and just remember, like. I know what we always say. I get it. We don't live forever. Blah blah blah. Whatever. But we really don't.
Right. And Russ and I can talk like that forever. But you are in a different situation.
Yeah, I went into the shadows, man.
Yeah, and you saw the other side.
I really did. I do feel like I've seen the other side. I'm not a believer in the afterlife. I have no patience for bullshit anymore. Like none. Like I have no BS.
Yeah.
And even trying to go back to being a movie reviewer and a game reviewer with Vic was very difficult. I just couldn't sit through some crummy movie.
So was it because you were like, this doesn't matter?
Like, what am I wasting my time for?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just, I don't want anyone to waste their. I started giving out zeros all the time, and Vic was just ready. He was ready to hang me.
Yeah.
He's just like, this, what, but I'm like, this is how I feel. I feel like this is an awful, wretched piece of garbage, and I feel bad that I had to sit through it, and God help anyone out there from having to sit through it.
But that's always, I've certainly viewed like a service that we as a business provide is like saving other people from misery. It's
That's
like,
right.
I think a relatively noble way to look at it.
But maybe before I got sick, I would have given it a 3.
Okay.
Now it just straight up 0. Like that's the end of it. Don't seriously do something better with your Friday than going to see whatever. There's so many bad movies out there. That Everest movie I couldn't stand. Did you guys like it?
Which one?
I didn't see it.
The Everest one. Jake Gyllenhaal.
I didn't see that.
Well, you both made the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that Creed movie from last year.
Oh, I liked it. I
really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
is that your favorite?
I had a great time. Yeah. The thing is, the great thing is now, now I'm not in the media anymore, and so I'm a normal consumer again.
Yeah.
And so when I go to the movies, I got to go like every other a-hole out there, and I got to sit through all the commercials. I got to sit through all the trailers. I got all the coming soon. It goes on for like 45 minutes. At the screenings, they just go right into the movie, you know? And so I miss that. Mm-hmm. But I kind of like being a consumer again. I'm enjoying it. I like, a couple of weeks ago, I felt this impulse to go to the store. I felt excited about it and buy Far Cry Primal.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I read your review, which I thought was really great.
Thanks.
Terrific job. You're
Appreciate that.
Such a good writer.
Oh,
he really is.
Am I? No,
very
thank you.
Look at you.
Am I?
I think Jeff's blushing a little right now.
No,
very
thanks for
red to
saying
begin
that. I
with,
appreciate that.
But
that means a lot.
It's fun to just behave like a consumer again. I know it stinks, especially in Canada. The games aren't $60; they're $80.
Yeah.
Is that even for? I guess it should be for like PSN, like online digital download stuff. It's also like super
all
expensive.
The same. Yeah.
Crazy.
All the prices are the same.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose.
Yeah.
So that's quite the second
ride.
act, huh?
Yeah, it was quite a ride, and I just feel like whatever I still want to do, I have to do it.
Yeah,
I have to do it, and I did a TED Talk on this in November.
Yep.
I didn't see your TED. I didn't know about that. I'm very eager to go back and watch it.
And we'll link everyone in the show notes.
Yeah,
they can watch that.
But mostly it was just about paring down your life.
Sure.
And the things that matter and the things that don't. And I do it in kind of an elegant way, but also a very crude way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't want go ahead and watch it if you want.
I think you're able to give everybody the full Scott Jones sort of treatment. Like, I think people can know you after watching that.
I think so.
He feels very honest.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's true. I felt like the TED Talk. I wasn't that happy with it. I was just proud of myself for doing it.
Sure.
And I met a lot of cool people.
Right.
And I mean, that's the thing is I just want to enjoy my day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm seeing you guys. I'm going to see some other friends later. I'm in New York. Like this morning, I got up at the Ace Hotel, where I'm way too old to be a guest. And I went downstairs.
You punched a few hipsters, moved them around.
You have to understand, I'm from the west coast of Canada now,
Sure.
and so I haven't seen snow in a billion years. This morning I was drinking a cup of great coffee, standing in front of the Ace Hotel, and snow's falling, and I just felt happy. I felt really lucky to be here, and lucky
That's beautiful.
to be coming up to see you guys.
It's beautiful. Yeah. I want to cry. I want to cry.
Why are you making fun of me?
I am not making fun of you.
This always happens.
I'm
sorry. My fault.
I'm having emotions. I'm serious. You're actually
really?
You're moving me. It's an amazing story.
I have a lot of history in this city.
I know you do.
I have a lot of memories. My first job was over here on Park and 28th.
Yeah,
really?
Hustler, right?
No, it was one of those magazines.
Close though.
What was it? Playboy?
I used to work at Gallery Magazine.
Oh, I don't think I know this.
Well, that's the story for the next time. That was my first job in New York. I worked there for 7 years. I thought I'd never get another job.
I was probably in high school when that was happening. Just in terms of like me knowing that.
I used to work with a guy. For sure, you've read some of my stories.
Okay. I'm sure.
I was raised Catholic, so they make the best porn writers for sure.
So you were right. Now, Jonesy, I didn't know that.
Really?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I wanted to have a great, weird, cool job in New York, and I wanted to have a job that I could write about afterward. Like I wanted to have like a really gutsy, learn something new job, and it was kind of a nightmare. It started out kind of fun, but I have a lot of history, man. Like I've lived a lot of life at this point.
I know you have.
Yeah.
And, when I first met you, I forget who introduced us. I think we just had met at an event.
Was it Dan Ackerman?
He was probably there. Yeah. I don't know if he was like, oh, Jeff, you got to meet this guy. I don't know if he did that. I don't know if he did like one of those.
Any excuse to do that impression.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's low-hanging fruit, but it never gets old.
It's still so sweet to taste.
It tastes beautiful, and
you know what you got to do, Jeff?
And everyone loves to do it.
Everyone loves to do it.
And I forgot. And someone had told me like,
I don't know.
This guy has seen some shit.
Oh, really?
And I remember seeing you and being like, oh, that guy's
like what? I'd been in Vietnam.
No, basically, and I'm like, oh, that guy's he's too tall to be my friend.
You didn't think?
Yeah, in my head, that's the first thing
really?
I thought. I think weird, judgmental things off the bat about people.
Really?
Where I'm like, he's 6'6".
What'd you think of Frushtick?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the first time I saw Russ, I was like, oh, this guy's like, someone I went to Hebrew school with.
I will say this. That's probably true. I will say this. I do remember, and this was, 2007 or so.
I just made Scott do a spit take, by the way.
Through his nose. That can't be helped.
Sorry, guys. In Canada, that's how we say thank you.
But I remember Jeff was very, intensely pushing the podcast and having me on the podcast.
Oh, yes. I was hustling.
You guys had a bond.
I was hustling.
We had a bond.
I think it took a couple times, the same way it did with you and I, Scott. It took a few times.
I felt like our chemistry was right there.
Love at first sight?
Yeah. What if I moved back to New York and then the three of us did this every day?
Oh, stop.
Oh, boy.
Don't tease me with that.
My word.
No, you should, regardless, you should come back because you're involved in different things now. You're in, why are you in New York? What is the reason to be here?
There's a virtual reality conference called Versions that the Kill Screen people. Do you know?
I do.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to go to that, and I'm going to that Saturday and Sunday. So today's perfect. I'm just with you guys today, and I'm trying to find a life beyond media. Mm-hmm. And I think you've been struggling with that a little bit, back and forth, trying a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Last year and a half or 2 years has been just
How many tools do we have on our Swiss Army knives? And this is the time in our lives when we figure that out. Like, do I have the corkscrew? Do I have the can opener? What can I use this? And so at the end of last year, well, actually halfway through last year, I started looking for new employment opportunities. I interviewed at a couple of different places. I did an interview at Facebook, although I signed an NDA. I can't ever tell you guys what I saw up there. It was kind of amazing, though.
Was it like the Wonka Factory?
Yeah, it was really kind of amazing. I was glad that I got to go.
Did they preview emotions for you with little happy and angry faces? First look.
That was fun, and I've spent a lot of time with in the virtual reality space.
Yeah, very cool space.
I feel like it's a very cool space, and the thing that gives me hope is the fact that the tech is still a little crude. We can't do first-person shooters yet, and I think that's a good thing. And the only reason I love video games at all is I'm a story guy. Like, that's it. That's all I care about. I want stories. I like the fact that this new medium is telling stories in a new way. And I feel like the fact that we can't go down the most obvious road on the virtual reality front, which is shooters, forces everyone to slow down, tell slower paced stories, and experiment more. And I think this is a good thing. This makes me very excited. I've had some incredible Oculus demos. I've done the toy box that we all did last year, and I was really knocked out by that. And I've done the HTC Vive, and I've put all that stuff on. I've gotten used to wearing that thing now, and I've gotten used to having big cords coming out of the back of my head.
The wire dreadlocks, I like to call them.
I've learned some of the
Predator.
That's right. It's kind of like the Predator.
Yeah, you are. You just assume that character.
Yeah, and so I learned some of the language. The lighthouse. I know what that is now. I didn't know what that was.
I don't know what that is.
That's Vive, right?
That's the Vive.
The Vive has such a specific apparatus.
Yes.
Not only can not everyone afford it, not only can not everyone, and I don't want to
$800, right?
It's $800.
Yeah.
But you need basically a room this big. You just
really?
need this.
No, but
space.
it works as like a normal VR device.
No.
What?
No, it needs this.
Yeah.
So games that are developed for Oculus.
And when I say this space, I mean like an 8x8, 9x9 room.
But games developed by Oculus theoretically couldn't just be simply ported over to the Vive?
No, I do not believe it is a 1-to-1 conversion thing like that. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's like porting from PC to PS4.
It seems like you could just as easily, I understand most, the Epic Vive experiences, which I haven't used, but I've heard it's amazing. The Epic Vive do involve an empty room and you're reaching around, moving around. But I got to imagine there's also a seated experience as well.
I think you can... I don't know. I think the light box.
I'll tell you what. Your confusion is natural.
Sure.
It's the Wild West right now.
Right.
Everything is being built. We have no definition yet for what good VR is. We don't know what it's going to look like. And everybody's just throwing stuff at a wall, and they're seeing what sticks. That makes it intriguing for me. I don't know if it's going to last. I think it's certainly going to have a life cycle here. It's going to be around for a while. We're going to see some things that we've never seen before. I have mixed feelings about it sometimes as a media guy.
Sure.
Like I feel weird putting all that the mechanism on my head. And I'm putting on the HTC the most
very dystopian.
It's very strange, and I don't like cutting myself off more from the world. I already do enough of that in my personal life. I don't want to do it with my tech life too. So the company I started working for is called Virtually Live, and basically what they're leading with, although they're hoping to turn it into other things, is they're taking live sports event, like if there was a Knicks game, not that anybody actually goes to Knicks
Regrettably,
games
I do,
days.
but it's not nice.
But then we would have a virtual version 8 seconds later. So as the game is going on, we would have sensors inside Madison Square Garden that would be gathering the data from the experience. They would take all that data, they would transform it through the Unity gameplay.
Okay.
And like stitch it together, right?
Stitch it together. So you would actually be in Madison Square Garden, a virtual version.
Okay.
And you'd be able to go anywhere in the garden. And one of the selling points of Virtually Live is that you can sit in any seat. You can sit in the Jack Nicholson seat.
Sure.
Courtside if you want to. You can go into the locker rooms. I know. Thanks for the education.
No problem.
So now can you, and you have the ability to switch in real time while you're jacked in?
You can move anywhere.
You move anywhere. You can go down on the field if you want to, although we're still debating whether or not we're going to make that. Well, we're leading with soccer, so we can go on the soccer field during the pitch.
That's great. That's awesome. Soccer's amazing to do.
What are the actual athletes? How are they presented?
It looks like a FIFA game.
It's like a FIFA game. So you're essentially, they're taking the data, they're saying, okay, whatever, Pele is standing right here, so we're going to put digital Pele in that position and move him around as Pele is moving around.
That's right. And the technology, I don't understand all of it. There is a little bit of voodoo around it. They use some anticipatory gameplay stuff where this guy usually goes this way, so we're going to put him there already. So it's a little juttery every now and then. We're still building it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's still, that's really fascinating.
It's very cool, and the possibilities for what they could do with this kind of tech is very cool. And I mean, it's basically a way for you to gather the same way that Twitch lets people get together for certain occasions. And so I think that's going to be a part of the success, a part of the story going forward.
Right.
Is it's an opportunity for everyone to get together. There's a game going on right now. Let's all get in there. You can get in the Kanye suite upstairs. You can get a virtual bartender. You can have a drink. You can watch the game. Or you could do what most sports fans do, and that is they don't really watch the game. They talk to each other.
Yeah, they just bullshit.
It's an opportunity for socializing.
No, that is really cool tech, and something that I haven't really heard anyone doing with VR, so that's really neat.
Yes. And we also we have a new demo that has to do with racing, and we're moving in lots of different directions. I've never been on this side before, so it's a little strange to see the world from the production side. From the
production side, and in this brave new world that is VR, is kind of this exciting, amazing combination.
Like we have a huge office in San Francisco. I was there like a week and a half ago. It's funny because you were on the media island for a long time, and I was too, and there's not much to eat there. It's a very small island.
It's barren.
It's barren, and you go to the other side, and it's like, I don't know. There's lots. It just feels like it's wide open. There's lots of opportunity. There's lots of weird jobs being created. Virtual reality doesn't know what kind of jobs it's going to need in the future, and so I think it's an exciting time. If you're a man in his mid-40s like I am, and you've survived a life-changing event.
Sure.
There are roads for you to go down.
Yeah. It's not to make it like this poetic sort of thing, but it's like it's this beautiful sort of like a door opening experience for you on multiple fronts, right? Where it's like career-wise, your life-wise. I mean, it's cool.
I also feel like every man, and I usually just say this off the air, but I'll say it here. I feel like every man has a window of opportunity to make money, and that's from when he's 35 to 55. And I feel like you got
woman, right? Or woman,
just people in general.
Yeah.
You just got to roll up your sleeves and you got to go out there. And I feel like the economy's good right now. Everything's strong. Like there's a new opportunity. There's new options. There's new tech. I feel like our E3 is going to look very different going forward. I feel like virtual reality is going to be a huge part of it. Have you guys ever tried any of the virtual reality headsets?
Yeah. I've except for the Vive.
Yeah, I haven't used the Vive either.
We're getting one here next week.
Yeah.
What about the Virtual Boy?
Yes, I have tried that.
Do you have it still?
I do not have it. I tried it actually at the Museum of the Moving Image.
Okay.
Virtual Boy, I remember hating even when
it was
like
terrible.
4
Terrible
when it came out. Like it was terrible.
I was at Syracuse then when it came out, doing my MFA. I know it sounds like bragging, but I had a girlfriend who had moved, and so I was a little heartbroken. And I went to the store and I stood there for about 20 minutes, and I was just like, "Should I get this Virtual Boy?
Yeah, should I just pay stupid money for this?"
And I ended up not getting the Virtual Boy.
Smart.
Yeah. Listen to Jones. He's got the right. He makes the right decisions.
Yeah, I feel like I had good instincts that day.
I want to take one more break. And then we got to talk about this other thing you're doing.
Sure.
The thing you're writing.
Whatever you want.
All right. On the other side of this, don't worry. It's gonna get. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. It gets weird. It gets real weird. No, it doesn't get weird. It's just the future's weird.
It's interesting.
The future's weird.
The weird stuff's up ahead.
Yeah. All right. Stay tuned. The 404 Show is also brought to you by Ruby Receptionists. They're a virtual receptionist service. It means you can forward your existing business phone number to one of their bright and friendly receptionists in Portland, Oregon, who answers your call on your behalf. Smart technology shows them details about your business and your callers before they pick up the phone, so they sound like they're sitting in your office, but for a third of the price of a full-time employee. That's pretty fantastic. Plus, they're never sick on vacation or out to lunch. You can provide detailed call handling instructions for everyone at the company, as well as different types of callers. Have them take a message, send them to your voicemail, or even put them right through your phone. Most importantly, Ruby receptionists care about connecting with your callers and making their day, all while making your business look good. You can check them out right now. Go to callruby.com/404show, and you're going to get free activation, which is a $95 value for free. Again, callruby.com/404show. Yeah, back on the 404.
Yeah.
The VR is
Guys,
just...
I'm having so much fun.
This is great, man.
It's a delight.
It's seriously.
Are you into VR? Do you feel optimistic about the future?
So those are two different things. VR as a concept and VR that I've used and loved is amazing to me. Absolutely crazy, super cool. I have not had... Even the HD jump going from SD to HD, I don't think was as dramatic an experience as this is right now.
So here's... Okay.
But I'm going to say, so the second part of your question, am I optimistic? Do I think it's going to go mainstream, which is obviously what companies like your company is hoping for and a lot of other people? I think we're a ways away. I would say at least 5 years away from going mainstream.
Definitely. Just the barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Right, is such a steep wall.
You know Sibel Sudar?
Yes.
My friend. Sibel, she always says this, so I have to give her credit. She said the VR equipment right now is kind of like that cell phone that Michael Douglas uses in Wall Street.
Exactly.
Like it's just too weird and awkward, and we'll still use it because we like to make phone calls from the beach. But
exactly,
it's
that's
our robes on.
But you want to be that cool guy. You want to be Michael Douglas.
that cool guy.
Yeah. Here's the thing: no one looks cool in VR.
No one. It's the worst.
No one looks cool wearing Google Glass.
Very true.
No, it is the coolness.
Did you guys see any Google Glass at CES?
No,
it's like done.
I think they. I mean, I don't even think this was a product though.
Yeah.
Like to me, they were saying, "Hey, we can do this."
Well, they sold it.
We
it's
can
a product. If you sell it, it's a product.
But it was
you want
they
a
were
car to
selling
drive
like
itself. We'll make that.
Yeah, they were selling the dream. They weren't like, look, you might not want to wear this dream in public,
right?
But you know, they were like, look, we made 1,000 of them. Why not?
Yeah,
let's get them out of storage. The thing with VR is that it is not a product in the sense that, like, yes, there's Oculus, there's Vive, there's PlayStation VR coming out later this year. It is a platform. Mm-hmm. It is a universe. It is a new dimension, and that to me. And I don't want to like oversell this, but like the way we transferred into understanding the internet, which we're still sort of doing, that is what VR will be, in my opinion. For someone like my son, who is not even a year, he will probably be way more ingrained in the way I grew up with the internet. Perhaps he will grow up with VR.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still all shaken out.
Yeah.
But I mean, the big endorsement is really the Mark Zuckerberg endorsement. Like the fact that he invested everything, like we're going Oculus, he doesn't do anything half-assed.
Right.
And that makes me feel so much more hopeful about the future of virtual reality. I feel like it's going to be around for a while. It might irritate us. It'll probably irritate us a lot in the beginning.
It's already irritated me.
Yeah, it's so irritating. I mean, and everyone you guys know this at CNET. You have to make stories every day, and you look everywhere and you shake the tree, see what kind of fruit drops off. But there's not always new stories. There's not always things to write about. So everyone's just combing over the same area.
People always want to bang it, though.
They always want to. What do you mean? Like a man likes to, like with a lady when they get together and then a baby comes out?
I don't know why this is like the evolutionary way of things.
Yes, it always starts with sex.
But people are always right. But can I have sex with it?
Just like
that's how we're programmed.
Yes,
that's just how things work.
You can bang this thing. You can do it.
In the beginning, in the Garden of Eden, there was two people. One was Adam and one was Eve, and then they went to dinner.
Then they went to a candlelight dinner in Little Italy.
And they went to a hedonism resort after that. It's going to start with sex for sure. And, I was working on a story for Esquire.com about the sexual revolution that virtual reality is going to ostensibly present to us. And with any one of these technologies, the first vice through the door is always
let's look at boobs
sex.
Through it.
Yeah, maybe boobs will look great in 3 dimensions. And of course, I started making some phone calls. One day, I called this porn company that you may have heard of, Vivid. And because of my history working over here on at Gallery, I knew some of the porn people. I don't know them anymore. But it was the first time I called a porn company in almost 20 years, and I just got the sleazy voicemail, like no matter what, no matter who you're calling, and it's the perspective, my perspective on it, just like, this is Vivid's voicemail.
Oh, God.
Would you like to leave a number? Press 1. It's just everything just feels so melodramatic. And so I was working on this story for Esquire, and then my friend who had hired me to do the story moved over to a different publication. But in the interim, in the meanwhile, Ben Silverman, my friend at Yahoo, he said he was interested in the story and would like to see it. So I'm still writing this story about how the virtual reality porn will shake out. And again, it's going to take a little bit of time. And there's going to be some really crude stuff in the beginning, and some of it's going to work and some of it's not going to work. But I don't know. I feel like it's an interesting place to have a conversation.
It is. Have you tried? Hold that thought, Russ. Have you tried it out? Have you tried out like I said at CES we had the Naughty America company.
And what do you think of the Naughty America?
I didn't do it.
Well, don't lie to me.
No, I didn't. I didn't do it.
Oh, well, you're such a good man.
I would love to have tried it. So there you go. I'm like showing my hand there.
Listen,
I would love to have seen, because I want to see that. I think of like Minority Report, right? And that scene where like Tom Cruise runs through like that arcade, like the VR arcade, and everyone's like in their own pod doing their own thing.
Or like Demolition Man.
Right, of course.
Or like Strange Days.
Right, well, that's the thing. Like, we all have these sci-fi fantasies of things we saw when we were younger.
Yes.
And now it's like, oh my God, that stuff is way closer than I ever thought we would be with any of that.
Like the thing we don't really realize, like something like 3D TV is done. Right?
Yes.
Everybody's given up on it. And that's the end of it. But porn was really all over that. They were first ones through. They would like, we got it all mapped out in here, and then nobody else went that way. Yeah. Only porn went that way. Porn is always first because there's so much money to be made if someone pulls this off and does it right.
It's like it's booze, right? It's never gonna go away. There's always gonna be a market for porn and booze. What were you about to mention?
I was gonna talk about logistics. So when someone's watching porn, generally they have other activities that they're doing while they're watching porn.
What?
Yeah, they're taxes.
Precisely. So if you're wearing,
what are you talking about?
No, is that not?
Are you? What are you doing?
I got like the old timey calculator and that green visor. And I'm like, let's see. Well, I could do $8,300 in deductions.
It's your Dan Ackerman voice again.
That's not intentional.
I want to say, you understand, you're wearing a VR helmet. There's a logistical issue with this situation.
You can't see your penis,
among other things.
You can't if you're masturbating
right.
with VR.
Right.
a man, a woman, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You can't see your,
you know what I'm saying?
You can't see your own naughty bits.
You don't know where things are going. They get all of the keep. Like,
who looks at? Why are you looking at it? Like, well, I don't want to see it.
I don't know if
hate
I'm
that thing.
You just punch it. I don't know if I want to see it the whole time.
You're abusing it,
but I want to see it eventually.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a a concern.
There's a finale,
and maybe it's just I'm like persnickety about cleanliness, but I want to make sure I know where things are going.
You may need to bring that up with your analyst, but we have a friend. You guys know him. I'm not going to say his name, but he's been caught while enjoying himself
to VR.
Not to VR.
But
I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But he's been caught a couple times. He's gotten that sort of tap on the shoulder and just like really into it by his wife.
Okay.
And so he told me about these taps and
these taps.
And I always laugh hysterically.
Yeah, because they're amazing.
Like, here's another reason why not to get married. Here's another reason why to live alone is better. But with porn, it's very dangerous. And I hear what you're saying for sure. I mean, you're very exposed and you're very vulnerable. And for sure, I'm sure thousands of people who are, they've been caught already, for sure. And there's just going to be millions going forward.
Yeah.
Just like somebody's wife is going to come home and the goggles are going to be on and you're just like, oh.
Well, the funny thing is, like,
what? I mean, that's only part of it, though. Like,
what? You're worried about the mess,
right?
But who cares? You take it off.
Yeah,
and
I guess
it's all over your computer.
Oh my God.
I guess that's
why are you aiming it to your computer?
Yeah, and why is it
I don't
so
know where
close
my
to
computer
your
is. That's what my point is. I don't know where the computer is because I'm wearing a helmet.
It's so funny though, but like, not only will you be walked in on, but like, you can walk in
theoretically. Right in the face of the person walking on you because you don't know where they are.
No, that's just magic. That's a magic story.
I don't know how far you're shooting,
but I'm saying you will walk in on this person and they won't even know you're in the room, and you'll just be like, well, I'm gonna sit here and if we're gonna do this, let's do this.
And you can reach in and they can think it's like a really immersive experience.
This is great.
No, I mean, for sure it's going to be scary, but what you're going to get on the far side of that is amazing. I mean, what you're going to see with whether it's the Oculus or the HTC Vive, you're going to see amazing things.
Yeah.
They're building them right now. They're experimenting. It's not just the 360 camera. They're trying everything right now. Somebody is going to figure it out.
Of course.
And they're going to make so much money.
They're going to, and yeah, let's get in on that, is what you're saying.
The 369 camera is next.
The 369.
Oh, nice. Oh. That's an impossible degree, but that's fine.
I feel like you guys have some running jokes, which is nice to see your running jokes.
That we don't, but that's great.
You're both laughing.
It is
369.
Now.
69. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a brave new world, and I'm a little, to get serious for a second. I am immediately. I feel threatened by it for some reason. My natural knee-jerk reaction to VR is like, I don't like it, and it's not like an age thing.
You sounded like Dan Ackerman again.
I'm sorry.
I don't like it.
I think you just hear that no matter when I talk. I want to embrace it, as a
just the porn side or the whole thing,
everything,
all of VR.
I just feel like this is I sweat in it. It's uncomfortable.
Well, Victor Lucas won't even put the goggles on. He's afraid of what it'll do to his hair.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole nother.
He does have nice hair.
He does have nice hair, but like, dude, get over it.
I know.
Not to mention, like, the 15 years from now, VR will just be like putting on glasses. For
sure.
Just be like putting on eyeglasses.
Whenever I do a demo, I always make some joke about pink eye.
Yeah.
I'm like,
like, that's a thing. Like, where are the bowling shoe spray equivalent? Like, where's that? Because that's a problem. Especially, like, at E3 this year.
Yeah, E3.
I freaked me out at E3 last year.
But at your house, it's not as much of a problem.
It's fine. But at E3, when you're, like, number 83 for the day, sloppy 83rds?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure. Like, those goggles have been on hundreds of other faces that day.
And
they have a little, wipe, and they're just like...
They're like,
that's the end of it.
Clean.
Yeah, it's good. Now you put it on.
Who's next?
Yeah.
Wear this.
For sure, at some point, pink eye is just going to run rampant through one of these conventions. Maybe it's GDC. Maybe it's E3. Like, we don't know.
Right? We'll it'll make national headlines.
Are you guys going?
E3?
GDC and E3.
Not doing GDC.
No GDC for me this year.
Sadly. Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
E3 I'll be at. I might go to PAX East also.
Where's that, in Boston?
That's in Boston in a month and a half.
Okay. I miss the circuit a little bit.
It misses you.
I miss it, yeah. But I don't recognize anybody. You guys are the only familiar faces that I see.
Well, you know, Ben and
sure.
There's like a handful of people left, but everybody else has gone on to other things.
It's pretty much that crew that was together for the E3 Sony press conference. Where you just like carved out a nice little.
That's right.
And we just weren't watching. We kind of were just doing our own thing.
We always sit up top, just up in the tier, that first tier. Yeah, it's a great place to sit.
Well, it's a great feeling having you here, man.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for listening to my stories.
It was moving.
Pleasure.
I'm sure everyone who heard this was touched by it. It's a great story.
Like strokes are a huge thing, man.
Yeah.
And they're going to be a bigger thing going forward. And more people have strokes all the time. They're at younger and younger ages. And so, I know I'm not alone now, and I'm going to be less alone as the longer I live.
Yeah.
That sounds like a threat.
No,
I
just want
like
you guys I want you to take care of yourself, and I want you to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
If knowing what you know now, what could you have done? Get checked out earlier?
No, there's nothing I really could have done.
Your situation is very
rare.
Yeah.
It was beyond. It was like a medical book kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just
like
extraordinary.
a house episode.
It is kind of like what's wrong with this guy?
That is not a bad analogy. Not trying to trivialize your.
There's been some good jokes today, guys.
I think we did okay.
Not bad.
Yeah, the 369. I remember that.
Yeah, you could tell. You could use that one for your story.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna use that one. Yeah, that's good. That's good. What do you want me to give me one question for the porn star I interview? The next porn star I interview for the story.
Okay, I've got it.
Go ahead.
Isn't she concerned that this essentially is going to make her obsolete?
No, I think if I can answer that already.
Oh, you can.
I think it makes you more relevant than ever.
Okay.
Because people want the real thing and not
they do, and
3D.
I think it'll open up. You talk about like the one-on-one stuff that people pay for. Well, now forget it. If you can do a VR one-on-one that you can pay for, that's unique to you, or he or she is looking in your eyes saying, "Hi, Jonesy."
Yeah. Okay.
Listen,
Hi,
I know
Scott.
you work here at CNET, but obviously what you just revealed with that is that you have the mind of somebody who should be working in the adult industry.
And making
how about
billions
this?
of dollars.
That was
How about
great.
this?
It was very
any
You're
18 to 50-year-old should be working in the porn industry.
Only you. You're the only one who possesses these
They
talents.
all know it. We all know it.
All right. Well, I love you both.
Love you too.
Thank
Where can
you
we
for
follow
having
you on
me.
Twitter?
I'm Scott C. Jones.
Scott
Very
C. Jones.
easy.
Right.
And I have a website, scottcjones.com. Go there and you can read my CES writings.
Beautiful.
It's a lot of fun.
It was a great pleasure having you
Yeah,
here,
nice
sir.
to see you.
Thanks,
And we'll
buddy.
see you around soon.
Thank you.
866-444-CNET is the phone number. Leave us a voicemail. We're back here next week, and we're gonna find someone else. I love
Is it gonna
having
be Mark Maron again?
No, he hasn't been on in a little bit.
He's too famous.
I don't know, man. Like he was the second time we had him on, he had reached that point, and he came back. So I was like, oh, why you like that?
No, I like Mark Maron.
Yeah. I don't know if I like his TV show, but I like his podcast.
Yeah, the TV show. That's true. We'll talk about that next time.
That's for next time. We'll see you guys next time. Have a fantastic weekend. Until then. Today's episode of the 404 Show is brought to you by Ruby Receptionists. Did you know that 72% of callers who reach an automated answer, they're going to hang up and not leave a message, but not when you've got Ruby. Ruby is your friendly and professional virtual receptionist team that never takes a break, goes on vacation, or calls in sick. Get started today. Head over to callruby.com/404show, and you're going to get free activation, which is a $95 value. Big thanks again to Ruby Receptionists for sponsoring the 404 Show.